Hey everybody, how's it going? Check out who's back. Look at him. He's Clinton the cat. Mr. Clinton, can you say hi to everybody? Mr. Clinton. Mr. Clinton. Mr. Clinton? Yo, why you gotta give me the cold shoulder for? What? I asked if you wanted to come. You said no. Anyway, so today what I'd like to discuss is a Tesla Model 3 performance that seems to have been given to the customer. Well, you know what? I'm not even going to spoil it. I am just going to show you. She got a car, and it was making a really weird noise. And she was asked to submit a video of the problem, so she did, and I hope this channel of hers gets a bunch of new subscribers. So I'm just going to play it for you, and you listen to the noise, and you tell me what you think. There it is. You could hear that. It's like, to me, again, Paul can attest to this. I'm one of the worst mechanics on planet Earth from me trying to fix my own electric bicycle, but that sounds like the brake pads are rubbing against the rotor or the calipers are rubbing against the rotor. So, you know, back when I used to have mechanical disc brakes rather than hydraulic, and I sucked at, you know, getting everything perfectly aligned right all the time, I would sometimes have one of the brake pads rubbing against the rotor, and that's kind of what that sounds like. Anyway, she sends that to Tesla. This is what Tesla said. They said, "Hello, we received your video. I had a few of our technicians take a listen, and they believe the brakes sounded normal for a performance Model 3. Brakes on the Model 3 and Ys are known to be louder than on standard vehicles due to the size of the larger brake pads. When you arrive for your appointment, we'll have a technician perform a test drive with you to inspect the brakes." Now again, as I said, Paul will attest, I am probably one of the worst mechanics on planet Earth, and even I would not let my bicycle outside to go more than 1 or 2 miles an hour with me walking it if it sounded like that. I don't know how many people watching this video are mechanics, but I'm fairly certain that most of you would likely not tell one of your customers that this noise over here is normal. That's not normal. That's something rubbing. And again, any self-respecting mechanic most likely would not let their customer's motorcycle or car leave their shop with that noise. If they heard it, they'd probably say, "Hey, give me 1 second before you leave. Let me just listen to that, because that's weird." Now, continuing the story over here, it seems like the wheel was removed and there was no inside brake wheel installed on the wheel. So you have to understand, this is the Model 3 Performance Edition. This is not the cheaper edition. So they got the one that used to sell for somewhere around $36,000 to $38,000, and then there was tax credits on top of it, the normal one. After that, they wound up having there was a long range one, which is like between 46 to 48K, and then again you could get tax credits on top of it to make it cheaper. That one's now up to 53 because our currency is a meme. And they had the performance version, which goes over $60,000, which is the one that is faster and has more range than the standard one, and it has some fancier wheel. And this is no brake pad.
Sure is. So it needs,
no brake pad.
in my mind, it needs a caliper. It needs a rotor.
Now again, a company. Okay, you know what? They're a new company. They're new to this. They're still trying to figure out how to make a car. Hey, listen, it's not fair. You gave Ford 100 years, and you give these guys what, like 14 years, and you expect them to be able to know how to put the brake pad in? Listen, it's hard. Sometimes you need to get yourself worked into it. You need to kind of get used to it as you go. You know, Elon's working on it. You know, never mind the fact that our ridiculous market has decided that this vehicle manufacturer is worth more than every other car company selling in America right now. They're still working on it. You know, again, shit happens. So she brings it in and says, waited almost a week to be given a loaner, and now it's been more than 3 weeks since the car has been towed to the service center. They said they're waiting on parts and continue to push the ETA back each week. If Tesla can build and ship new cars, why can't warranty repairs be made? Why can't they be made, Mr. Clinton? No, really, why can't they be made? Clinton? Clinton? Now, to be clear, I am not defending this meme company when I explain to you that there is a reason that they most likely don't have rotors and brake pads and everything in stock at many of their service facilities. That Still a meme. Don't get it twisted. This is still a meme. This is still ridiculous. This is still unacceptable, and they should compensate her for the fact that they are wasting her time on this garbage on a car that's cost over $60,000. But I can kind of understand why it is they may not have as many brake pads and rotors in stock. Before you tar and feather me, just hear me out here. So in an internal combustion engine vehicle, when you take your foot off of the accelerator, it keeps going. It keeps coasting. Not only does it keep coasting, but it's not going to come to a complete stop. It's still going to go at 2 or 3 or 4 miles an hour and try to creep because the engine is always on. So you're constantly using the brake, not just to stop, but to keep the vehicle from coasting at a red light. In an electric vehicle, it's very, very different, especially if you're dealing with a motor like what's in a Tesla or a Ford, or a hub motor on a bicycle as opposed to a mid-drive, because in those hub motors on bikes, and also in these motors on these electric vehicles, when you take your foot off of the accelerator, it actually starts to brake. It's not braking with the brake pad, it's braking to recharge the battery. The motor winds up acting as a generator. It resists the car continuing to move forward, but as it's resisting the car moving forward, it is now creating energy for the battery. And this is how you get more range out of an electric vehicle, by making use of this technique called regenerative braking. So on an internal combustion engine vehicle, you take your foot off the accelerator, keeps going. On an electric vehicle, when you take your foot off of the accelerator a little bit, it's going to coast. But if you take your foot off of the accelerator completely, it begins to brake. It's quite possible to drive an electric vehicle without ever braking. You could easily make a 100-mile road trip in an electric vehicle and never use your brake pedal. In an electric vehicle, most of the times, if you're using your brake pedal, it's either in the beginning, A, because you're kind of new to the idea and you're still not used to it, B, because somebody stopped short in front of you and you needed to emergency brake immediately to avoid death. But it is very possible to not use your brake pads in an electric vehicle. As a result, you're replacing your brake pads and your rotors and everything else far less often on an electric vehicle because you never use them. Elon Musk has made the claim that you never need to replace your brake pads throughout the lifetime of your vehicle, which, again, I think that that's stretching it, like many things that he says. But the point there is that you're using them much less. That being said, to have no brake pads and no rotors at a fucking car service facility is insane. To say, okay, listen, we don't need to service these as often because they have regenerative braking, so they're not used as often, so we will only have 1 or 2 or 4 sets of stock instead of 30 or 90 or 150 sets of stock. Fine, I could get that. You have none? For a $60,000 vehicle, you have none. You have no stock, really. Wow. Again, keep in mind, this car company is worth more than every other car company combined. Wow. And she says, if you are considering buying a Tesla, make sure you're prepared for the worst customer service experience ever. Once you drive off the lot, they do not care, even if the issue you're having is 100% their fault. Hashtag Tesla sucks, read my pinned tweet. And she pinned Elon Musk and said, y'all have any more of them brake pads? Hashtag Tesla quality. And she said, I was actually wondering about that. I saw somewhere Elon claims they test drive all Model 3s before delivery, and the car had about 20 miles on it when I picked it up, so ... Someone drove it. The brakes also felt a bit soft to me. Are they still allowing returns? Do you plan to? Initially, I asked them to repair it. I requested all brake components for that wheel replaced. They said no problem. They also agreed to show me the old caliper, etc. once it was removed, which, by the way, you should do, because I sure as shit wouldn't trust them to do it otherwise. And she says, after waiting 2 weeks, I asked if they would buy it back and was told not likely, which is insane. Because again, it says, I'm in Florida. We have a lemon law here. I think they get 4 attempts to fix it, or 30 days with car out of service. I hired a lawyer today because I'm tired of dealing with it. I actually asked them if they would buy the car back, and the manager I spoke to said they won't. Now, just in case April actually winds up watching this video, Sonny had this same problem. He had a Model 3 where the front trunk, or the frunk, in 2018 would do this while he was on the highway, and it would obstruct the windshield. It was a known problem, and it is one of those things that is fairly concerning if you don't want to die. It tends to be important that you be able to see what's in front of you when you're driving on the highway, and a front trunk or hood that just randomly pops open like this is really bad. Tesla did not want to buy the car back. They didn't want to hear any of it. He hired an attorney, and he was able to get fully reimbursed for the vehicle, which, again, was a pain in the ass, was a waste of his time, but it did work. So I would suggest, if this is the case, that you should deal with an attorney sooner rather than later. If you want advice on any of that stuff, I'll leave a link to Sonny's channel down below. Maybe he can give a little bit more information on how it was he dealt with this with his 2018 Tesla before he got a Model X. The Model X that he got actually wound up coming with an unlimited charging, which is a decent deal. He's gone out of his way at as often as humanly possible to make sure that he gets every last fucking penny out of Elon. He has avoided staying at hotels when he travels with friends. They wind up staying in the car with the air conditioning turned on, plugged into a supercharger. Like, it's just typical Sonny shit. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments of this video. Do you think that Tesla should have to buy this car back? Do you think it is ridiculous that they do not have brake pads, calipers, or rotors in stock at what is called a service facility that they tow the vehicle to? Again, not just some little dealer, a service facility. Do you think that she is right to not trust the build quality of their vehicles ever again after an experience like this? What would you accept being screwed up on a vehicle that cost this much money? Because again, at the end of the day, every company is going to make a mistake. No company is perfect. Every company is going to screw something up. But what's really, like, just in my opinion, completely unacceptable here is when you just take a look at what this car can cost. Like, again, okay, $58,990. There's a couple of upgrades you can do to get it to 60. After tax and everything, it winds up being 60. I was close when I said about 60,000 bucks. This is a fairly expensive vehicle to get without a brake pad or caliper. I mean, it's just, come on. Come on. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. And maybe, so will Mr. Clinton. Mr. Clinton? Mr. Clinton? He's literally looking the other way. Do you see this guy? Look at him. He got on the chair. He actually got on the chair. And he's literally looking 90 degrees that way, pretending I don't exist. Clinton, you had an auto feeder. You had water. You had somebody come by to pet you and make sure everything was okay. Do you not like Steve? Is this something you want to tell me? Watch this. Good boy. Mr. Clinton. Mr. Clinton. Mr. Clinton. Psst, 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 psst. All right. I guess I got to spend some time with him. I got to spend some time with my Clinton. I think he's mad at me. He's mad that I wasn't here. It's understandable. It's mad. He's mad. Such is life. Good boy, Mr. Clinton.